Good morning, everyone. We're going to give people another minute and a half or so to filter in, and we'll all get started. We have fantastic attendance this morning, so thank you all for joining. And so we begin. As my contracts professor, the first class I ever went to in law school, he said, let us immerse ourselves into the icy waters. We will immerse ourselves into the warm waters of Turks and Caicos in the Caribbean. Uh, Good morning and welcome to our webinar focusing on the wonderful design ethos of Beach Enclave and especially the new Mhouse project. Vasco and I were just conducted a very, I think, inspiring interview last week, and we got to talk about the design of Mhouse. And I said really should do, a webinar on the design. Rolf has such great designs and Taylor throughout the years with Vasco and the Beach Enclave brand. So we decided to focus on it. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Joe Zahm, president of Turks and Caicos Sotheby's International Realty and a longtime Beach Enclave fan. Our panelists today are Vasco Borges, CEO of Beach Enclave and developer of Mhouse. Good morning, Vasco.
Morning, Joe.
Uh, Also with us from Ibiza is Rolf Blakstad of Blakstad Architects and Design Consultants. Good morning. I believe it's 4:30 where you are, right, Rolf?
Yeah, good morning or good afternoon from here. Yeah.
And then also a longtime friend and colleague, Taylor Drotman, who has been with Vasco since the beginning, principal designer of Domino. Good morning, Taylor.
Thank you.
So Vasco, Beach Enclave has rightfully earned its international reputation as a premier villa brand and been an industry leader in TCI in the region for quite some time. Over the past decade, you've garnered many awards and acclamations, including unanimous five-star reviews on TripAdvisor, but you have a number of awards and acclamations that are too numerous to mention. So I would love you to point some of those out before we get rolling.
Yeah, it's incredible. I mean, it's truly a testament to the amazing work that my hospitality team has been doing, both for the owners and guests. Despite our small size, we got awarded number 3 in the Caribbean by Traveling Leisure. This is obviously voted by the readers. So our guests, number 3 at Condé Nast for the Atlantic. National Geographic came with 100 hotels of a lifetime. We're there. Which is really special. More recent, most exciting villa opening by Forbes for our project that we just finalized last year at the Reserve. And as you said, sort of perfect 5-star at TripAdvisor for 5 years.
Vasco, how did this band come together with adding Rolf to the mix with as the architect?
Well, I'll even start with Taylor, and as you said, it's we started from day one. Taylor and her team at Domino Creative have done all the interior design for all our projects. I couldn't choose anyone else. I think she's a unicorn. She's that amazing combination of understanding Turks and Caicos, having lived here, and what works and doesn't work here, but also having sort of the taste and the sophistication that comes from being sort of residing and based in New York. So, and obviously the knowledge she has about the logistics and what works. I don't think we've ever had a project that was not finalized on time because of the interior design. So that's how Taylor came to the mix, and she's been integral in developing our ethos. Rolf, I've been following him for quite some time. I truly appreciate what he does. I think it's a handcraft that his firm does. It's not it's like kind of sort of a more vintage way of designing, and in particular the way they brought the Eastern Mediterranean and Ibiza style of old houses and sort of that Arabic principles of, for instance, the golden rule, where you will enter into a space in the homes that he has designed and they just make sense, they feel right. And he placed that into a modern or contemporary home, and I always loved that. And so when we had a site became available for us to develop the Mhouse site, I knew I needed a architect that had the sort of the handcraft and the knowledge to use the topography and sort of how to integrate all of that. And so we I reached out to Rolf, and then we had a bromance. We really hit together. It was fun to talk and to see how much we shared together in terms of design. So
And
that's how we got to this team.
I know those trips to Ibiza were difficult
That's
travel
right.
for you,
That's right.
Vasco.
I had to
So
go there many, many
somebody,
times.
somebody had to do it. Going back, a dozen years since I think I started on this journey with you. Uh, the design always seemed to be first and foremost in terms of what informed the Beach Enclave brand. How do you feel your design vision has evolved through these years, especially as we tie it into Mother's House and the history of Mother's House?
Well, the ethos has been the same from the start. I think first and foremost, we are a residential community before we're a resort. And so that feels when you go in, and a lot of decisions that we make together with Taylor in terms of even the sort of the serveware and all of that just feels first as a home. And that was very important to us to be first a residence. And then obviously this notion of designing a home that makes justice to the environment, and particularly here in North Shore where Mhouse is, you just have these obviously the white sand and a turquoise sea, but you also have these amazing hues of green. It's a very lush site, and the sort of the rawness of the limestone, just beautiful sight. And so we always wanted Beach Enclave to be something where you look, the focus is the outdoor, it's the views. And so we want to do a clean, contemporary, non-distractive design, and obviously combine form and function. We are from hospitality. My development partner is from hospitality, so we always try and do homes that feel right for living. So that's been there throughout. I think the cool thing about the Mhouse site is there's a lot of history to it. It's intertwined to the beginning of Providencial, as you know, Joe. I tell this story a lot because I just love it. There was nothing in Providenciales until the late 60s. It was just two settlements, local settlements, no development. And this group, these seven very wealthy American families, we're talking about the Roosevelt, DuPont, Morton, Ludington, they stumbled upon it, went to the government and made what in hindsight looks like a great deal. They committed to open the first highway, which is still the highway. They committed to do the airstrip, which is the airport, a deep sea port, which is our port, the first marina, and an hotel, which was just next to what is now Mhouse. And in exchange from that, they got 4,000 acres of land. They could just choose whatever they wanted on the island. And each of these families also were entitled to a estate, sort of 7-10 acre parcel to do their own home. Two of those estates is what is today Beach Enclave North Shore, our first property. The leading family chose this site where Mhouse is, and they design a home there, they build a home there for their mother's house. And talking with the family, talking with people that were there at the time in Turks, it was a house that was all about celebrating life, congregation of generations and friends, and that just struck a chord on me because I think that's what living in Turks is all about. Or coming to Turks is bringing your family from various places, is celebrating life, is being sort of integrated to this beautiful surrounding. We wanted to do that again, but bring obviously all the modernities that we're now used to, the amenities, the service, etc., and hence the name Mhouse.
Yeah, it's a history that I came to know when I came just before 1990. So it was quite a long time ago. I would say it was more barefoot living than barefoot luxury living at that time.
We
And
entered the luxury now.
yeah, well, but I think that's really, an interesting point to your design, Vasco, is that you have evolved uh, barefoot luxury, but in a way that is not pretentious at all. And I think it speaks to the beach enclave lifestyle. And Rolf, you had an interesting comment during our prep, and that is design is lifestyle. When I asked you, like, how much does lifestyle factor into your designs? Could you expand on that, Rolf, before I go to Taylor on this one?
Yeah, sure. So I mean, at the end of the day, we're designing around a lifestyle, and a house as a house is just a series of ingredients, and it depends how you mix them, but the ingredients are all the same. And so, for example, these houses, which are we evolved from traditional design, which goes back around 9,000 years to the Near East, and were the first human settlements. As we can see in some of the images we've been seeing in the background, is we've been seeing other modern houses with flat roofs. One of the main elements of these designs are the flat roofs. The only thing is, most of the designs we're seeing are coming from the sort of Bauhaus era, which evolved from the same root designs. We've just evolved them in a different way. And so the designs of the houses had evolved around the lifestyle. In this case, island lifestyle. It's very similar. Ibiza. We have the as you're saying, the sort of barefoot, now again luxury. So it's going back now, I guess, a couple of years, is when we initiated the design with Vasco and his team. It was a great experience, walking the land, deciding on the on how all the houses should sit, the excavations that we'd be doing, placing all of the homes. And one of the main things, which was actually, really, really great, was the how involved we've been together on this as a team from the very beginning, and focusing really, really so much on making the best of form and function. And what was been very surprising to me is that involvement, and how we've been working together on making the best design possible.
I want to go to Taylor now because your imprint is very much part of the Beach Enclave ethos. And speaking personally, I think your designs have been simpatico with the Beach Enclave brand. And I just want to ask you, how do your designs so seamlessly complement not only the BE design, but also the Beach Enclave lifestyle?
Um, I think the way we complement each other so well largely has to do with our history. I think that I think we sort of created the language together. So it's not so much that we speak Beach Enclave, it's that we together created this language more than a dozen years ago. So it makes it really easy. We're sort of fluent. We are, Beach Enclave natives in our design language, which I think makes it really easy for us to do projects together and to evolve. This will be the seventh development that we've done together. And I think that history and that common language has made it really special. It also allows us to be creative because there's so much familiarity that it allows us to evolve from that. And I think something in terms of lifestyle, we're not, all of us are not, our teams didn't come to Turks saying, we think this would be a cool idea to do a development here. My team, Bosco's team, had already lived here for many years, lived in Provo for many years, and really knew what island living looked like and had a real sense of indoor-outdoor wasn't a concept. It was actually how we had been living for a decade. And so we knew the problems that we wanted to solve. We knew what indoor-outdoor meant. We knew that there, in a lot of beautiful homes historically, there was a break between those spaces in terms of whether it was flooring or materiality or color. And those were all things that we knew we wanted to address. And much to what Vasco said about sort of respecting nature, I think nature is not, colorless. It's not perfect and without chaos. So I think our version of modern was neutral, but not colorless. Our version of modern was thoughtful and designed, but had texture, had interest, and incorporated all of those elements of nature into the space in a way that, we didn't end up with Miami modern. We didn't end up with New York modern. We ended up with Turks modern. And it's a real point of pride now, the number of private clients who come to us and say, I want something that feels like Beach Enclave. Because I think that's become what, in a lot of ways, what Turks modern looks like. And we're really proud of that and proud of what we've done with Vasco and his team.
Well, I'm a client, so
and we did your house.
Hey, Vasco, would you like to add anything on lifestyle before we move on to the next topic?
So much. I mean, we spend so much time on it, right? Not having to do a sacrifice between form and function. That's really important to us, and it's been a team on all the teams that we work with architecturally. And that's very important for us here. Again, back to being a residence first and then a resort. We're not buying white plates. We're doing something much more thoughtful than that. However, still feels, and I see that all the time in our owners when they arrive, and guests, they feel at home and they put their feet up on the table, and that's fine. That's exactly how we want to design and these homes to be lived.
I would also add in our experience with you, Vasco, is that you've been wonderful with working with the owners, with just making subtle and not so subtle changes in order to really marry, your designs with the lifestyle of your clients. And you've been wonderful on the deliverables, and I think that's really been a differentiator over many years. And then when we go in to the homes years later, they look like, they always look brand new whenever we go in. I wanted to move now to something else that Rolf is known for, and that is where design meets nature. We're talking about nature a lot and the combination of nature and design and lifestyle. And as we've discussed prior, Providenciales is a very flat island. I believe that the highest elevation is 120 feet. If I'm not mistaken, that might be an exaggeration a little bit, but this is the most vertiginous area of Providenciales in the North Shore area, and is really, I believe, a signature component, naturalistically with your Beach Enclave North Shore sites, Vasco. And here we have, I think, even more of a dramatic transition between the beachfront and the hilltop. So I would like to open this up for a conversation amongst the three of you in terms of how you worked with that elevation and how you leaned into the limestone walls, which are really dramatic and interesting.
And I can start it. We had some ideas how to do that, and then Rolf came on site and took them to the next level, literally. I think we knew that we wanted to go back to our roots of a large, expensive home, right? For a while, we've done some sort of more efficient homes, which we love, but we thought it was the right time to go back to that. And Rolf came up with this solution to do that by, these ridge that we have across the property, which is the same as in Beach Enclave. It goes further and further away from the ocean at Mhouse, and we exaggerated that by excavating, creating that sort of vertiginous aspect that you're talking about. And that allows us to have ample breathing space for 4 large villas on the beach, plus the beach club. But then it will also allow us to have these ocean view homes that are perched right at the ridge. And they will feel like there's nothing in front of them. They will feel like you're living on the 5th or 6th floor of a building, but in your own privacy of your home. And that's really cool, that all these homes have unobstructed, full-on views is truly special. And that was that was not an easy thing for creating, and I really give the kudos to Rolf on that.
So, Rolf, could you care to expand on how you dealt with this, I guess, limestone cliff, for lack of a better word?
Well, I mean, it's a ridge, it's a cliff. And I mean, the stone is just so beautiful there. And so we decided to actually make it a feature. And I mean, you know, this image does not do it justice at all. I mean, the excavated cliff.
You got to go to the site, right, Rolf? You got to go to the
Yeah,
site and see
it's
it.
stunning. It's just so
Yeah,
stunning. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And I mean, it was one of the first decisions that we were, you know, debating. And until we actually got on site, we weren't able to make a final decision on that. But it's allowed us to create the homes as they are now. In, as Vasco was mentioning earlier, is the, you know, the ones on the ridge are, you know, they're going to have a very spectacular feel, and equally to the ones obviously on the beach. And going back to what you mentioned about, you know, where design meets nature, is it's very, you know, main thing is for us is to always you know, consider the location, consider our climate, you know, prevailing winds, you know, the orientation of the sun. And of course, in a situation like this, is we depend so much always on local knowledge. And in this case, local knowledge was definitely there, as both Taylor and Vasco have ample experience living. And I mean, at the end of the day, especially holiday homes, is they have a series of requirements which, you know, you need to adapt to slightly depending on the location where you are. And this is, I think, you know, worked extremely well with Taylor, with her ample experience of working on Turks and Caicos.
Taylor, for you, when you see a site like this and you see the limestone and you see the elevational changes, how does that inspire any potential tweaks you might make, or the evolution of your designs with Beach Enclave?
I think it's all taken into consideration. I think one thing that Rolf had mentioned, when we've spoken in the past about a lot of his architecture references thousands of year old, architecture and building types. Like in this image, if you walk the site, it really has almost sort of an archaeologist personality. It has this sort of historic space to it that it feels like you're on an archaeology site almost. Like it's an incredibly cool treatment of the physical space. And I think, Rolf's architecture so being rooted in history, in classic design, those two things just marry incredibly well. And I think we've tried to bring that into what we're doing in terms of the interiors, of having real material integrity, that it's not sort of plastic, man-made kind of furniture. We're connecting back to things that feel sort of real and original and rough-hewn and handmade, and things that feel like they have come from the land, in a kind of way that feels like it has gravitas, it has sort of weight and heft to it. Which has been really lovely, and in a lot of ways, sort of the roots of what we've always done with Beach Enclave.
It's interesting how our conversation over these past several minutes has really been design as lifestyle. And in considering that, Vasco, you've upped your game in terms of your new beach club and amenity set at Mhouse. Would you care to amplify that a bit?
We keep raising it. I think the way we live keeps being raised, and we got to keep up with it. So that obviously the Mhouse is like the other Beach Enclave properties, has the usual amenities, the rental program, the maintenance team on the ground that does a fantastic job. The landscaping that sort of is very based on what is there, and keeping it as such, just elevating it a bit. There's a couple of amenities that I'm truly enamored here on this project. One is the beach club, which is it's a great access to the beach for everyone, including the ocean view homes, and is a it's a beach club where we didn't want the owners to have to choose between privacy and hospitality. This is just for the owners and guests. It's a place where there'll be daily yoga in the morning. There'll be an opportunity to have a coffee, a juice, some bites, just enjoy your day there, and it just cascades onto the beach, and it's sort of really carved against this limestone. We've really used the limestone not only on that ridge, but also through the access to create this sort of canyon feel on the limestone, and again sort of attach this beach club almost to the rock. So really special thing, and I think it will serve really well the sense of community and the lifestyle. The other thing we did was the fitness center. Instead of putting it in the back on the less valuable land, we actually put it on the top of the ridge on ocean view, facing the ocean. We could have probably had another home there, but we felt that was the right place, given how much our owners ourselves spend more and more on health, on fitness. So we create this amazing gym that faces the view. We've integrated into it a sauna and an ice plunge, and these are amenities that are not usual on a sort of a community of 9 homes, but we felt was the right thing to do. And obviously, there's the tennis court, there's a pickleball that's behind, so there's not to affect the living of the homes. And like I said, the rental program, the concierge is all there. But these two amenities, the fitness center facing the ocean with a sauna and the ice plunge, and the private beach club, are truly unique.
Excellent. Now we have talked a lot
And by the
about
way, you can see these on these renderings, right? Rolf would have not let me do it in any other way. It has that really cool Mediterranean feel. Like I want to be there. I want to be there and have my coffee in the morning, and then perhaps a bottle of really good cold white wine there. I really do.
we will soon.
Exactly.
I wanted to speak more about the specifics of the house, of the homes. These homes they're large, they're spectacular, and I would like for Rolf, why don't you start us off with what your vision was for these homes when you set out to design them?
Well, I mean, the homes are designed very much around family living, and at the same time, we're looking for them to be cozy spaces as well as open and spaces for entertainment. So we want the houses, first of all, to be very sort of, we want them to be timeless, not in the sense that you mentioned earlier, where whenever you go back to a house, doesn't matter how old it is, it always seems like it's brand new. Due to, obviously, thanks to Vasco and his team. But in this case, we also want to allow the spaces are neutral, which allows Taylor to do her part, and also to be able to create, to imprint them with in an individual look in an easy way, just with furnishing, art, and so on. So I mean, in all spaces that are designed need to be able to adapt to multiple uses throughout the year, changes of climate, the weather, how many people are in the home. Is it just a couple for the weekend? Is it the whole family for 6 weeks over the summer? So the concept is to be able to adapt the houses as much as possible to that. The fact also that we're in a community. We want to have a sense of community, but at the same time, we're definitely looking for privacy. So all of these aspects have been gone over and over and over again, looking at the every detail. So that would be the aspect of the use of space. So very much about being practical at the same time as being, wonderful. This is the entrance of one of the homes, and it gives you a sense of space, sense of the entrance. We know we can get the surprise once we get to the house. We look through the house to the view over the pool, over the common areas, and so at the same time, the bedrooms each have their own private area. Whether it's on the first floor, it has their own terrace. Maybe on the ground floor, it'll have its own private outside shower, and so on. Then going back to the design, obviously that's the use. That's about the lifestyle of as we mentioned earlier, of the interior, the exterior spaces. How what we is the fact that we can combine them. They can never be the same space. We always need an exterior space and an interior space. And they need to work together, but they need to be independent spaces. So then, going back to the design, and something that Taylor mentioned earlier about the materials is, of course, we're looking for noble materials that are obviously, of course, natural materials, but not only noble materials, it can be honest materials in this case, and that is the overall sort of philosophy behind the design of these houses is that is the honesty of the design. They're very functional. They're simple, but we try and keep them beautiful. And so it's going back to again what has been mentioned earlier about the island being barefoot, but now with a touch of luxury in it. And it's finding the balance between the two. It's finding that, and I don't know, maybe Taylor, maybe you can maybe expand a little bit on that in the way we've worked together in order to achieve that.
I love the idea of materials being honest or noble. I've not heard it put that way before, but I think that very much is the spirit of what we always try and do. And I think there's been a really nice kind of simpatico thing in that we see that really similarly. I also, one of the images you were passing through is you come into the entrance of the home. You talk about the idea of, does this house naturally accommodate, a couple on vacation? And does it also accommodate, 8 family members on vacation? And I think there's something in the way the houses that are designed, you come into this really expansive space when you first enter. And then as it comes in, the dining space kind of contracts and then it opens again. And there's almost this breathing that happens in the home of like open and closing, this sort of natural inhale, exhale that happens that allows for certain spaces to feel sort of closed and intimate. And then other spaces allow a kind of inhale of space and air and generosity. And I think that's a really challenging and special thing to achieve in an estate scale home, where it doesn't always feel too big and that it's sort of not human scale, but that you're also able to have grandiosity and space and have intimacy. And I think that's really tricky in a property. And I think it's been really beautifully done on this one.
Vasco, you should be proud of those answers.
I am. I remember.
So,
I remember my.
I don't know how you follow that up, but please do.
I remember our brief to Rolf was one of the aspects of the brief to Rolf that we spent a lot of time discussing up front was, it needs to feel, you need to have a family where everyone can retreat to its own space, right? One can be reading a book and the kids can be playing on the pool and the teenagers can be further down on the beach enjoying the sun. But you also need to be able to entertain 30, 40 people on your 50th anniversary or 60th anniversary, whatever it's going to be, right? And it's exactly that, right? How do you combine both? And one of the things that Rolf came up with was, you can see in these images, the indoor and the outdoor at the same level. And when you collapse the windows, it feels like a huge space, really nice space to entertain and enjoy life and all that. But then you can, just as well, when you're a smaller group, one can be on our sort of signature suspended day bed, 2 more on the deck, on the deck in front of the pool. And by the way, I should mention that we have set designs, as you know, Joe, but we then have a sort of a sizable menu of options that you can add or adjust. The beach villa, we are able to have a bedroom on the front, but also create there the further living space, which is this option here. You can add aspects on the outdoor, you can add aspects across the home, you can add, on the hilltop, we talk about that, the rooftop where you can have a full-on summer kitchen. So, you come in and you come in as an owner and you can truly customize your experience. And I think that's really cool. Like, we don't want every home, we want them to be harmonious, but we don't want them to be all the same.
Excellent. Just as a pause, if anyone has any questions, please just put it in the chat below, and we'll go from there. And I was so mesmerized by those answers that I kind of lost my train a little bit. I mean, it seems to me that you can't talk about Beach Enclave without design, and you can't talk about Beach Enclave and Mhouse without lifestyle or nature. So I think what we've really looked at, throughout our conversation today is the intersection of those three aspects, right? Of the design, of nature, the form and functionality, just, all wonderful stuff. Vasco, anything you feel we've missed or that you would like to focus on with regard to Mhouse?
I think an interesting point is, the partnership we have with the landowner here is really well thought through, and that allows us to have these bigger, expensive homes at nonetheless a price point that you're probably going to be slightly surprised with. I think we have a really cool entry point on the hilltops, as you know, starting at 4 million, and also on the beachfront fields. I think it's truly an amazing opportunity to live on a residential community with resort amenities, with a lot of space for you and for your home at the price point that I think is starting to be very unique here in Turks.
And Vasco, where are you just in terms of the progress in terms of Beach Enclave? I know that we have three sold, two on the beach, one on the hilltop. We're speaking with other people now, and then we anticipate construction first half of 2026, you would say?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that truly makes me proud is that we've done a friends and family release just to our existing homeowners and people that express interest, and we sold 3 homes to our existing homeowners. That people that may have acquired with us, now they want a bigger home or change location. That makes me really proud, right? We're now opening it to the market, and with a view to have one, maybe two more sales to do all the amenities, all the remaining infrastructure in those homes in one go. So that one, even if you're one of the first buyers, when you walk into your home, you're going to have the full lifestyle experience. So that's what we're focusing on, and so we predict to start construction sort of late Q2, very early Q3, 2026.
I have some questions coming in, so I think we'll pivot to some questions. First one is, do the hilltop homes have views of the sea from the entry?
Yes. The way we've created the beachfront homes, the rooftop of them, the top of them, and we will control the landscaping so that doesn't go above the homes, and we will not have any sort of rooftop experience there. But the rooftop is at about, I believe, sort of 40 feet, 38 feet, and the ocean view homes, the slab is at anywhere up to 48 feet. So you are not going to see, when you face the ocean, you're not going to see anything in front of you. It's truly a sort of a full 180 degree view. And so and then the way Rolf done that design, where you step up to the home and then you go down again a little bit, you just have that killer shot, right, where you see your outdoor, your pool, and the ocean in one continuum.
And next question is, could you please speak to the privacy of the beach?
So this is an interesting story, actually. These beaches, obviously, all the beaches are public in Turks and Caicos. These beaches, the natural continuation of Grace Bay Beach, and then those 7 families that I mentioned sort of dug the channel to go into the Turtle Cove Marina, so sever it from Grace Bay Beach. And really, there's only a very small public access to the beach, and I think you can park there 2 cars. And we control the entirety of the beach minus 2 free other homes. And so that experience is ours, if you will. And you are Christmas Day or New Year's Day, and you don't see much people there. It's just a very quiet beach. I love that. Now, there's more and more restaurants nearby, so I think it's that combination of full-on private beach or quasi-private beach combined with amenities nearby.
Thank you. We have lots of questions coming in, so we'll keep it going. What is the price point for the oceanfront homes? They are at 9.95, just under 10 million. And the availability to date is we have lots 3 and 4 available. Lots 1 and 2 are sold. Next question is, what are the ceiling heights?
What's the?
Bro? Ceiling heights?
12 feet on the ground floor on the living areas and at least 10 on the bedrooms.
Okay.
We
Next
really
question.
wanted, and that was a long conversation with Rolf. Remember that, Rolf?
Yeah, and remember we have the entrance is, I think we were seeing it previously on both homes. The ones on the beach and the ones above are double height, which was what Taylor was mentioning previously about coming in with the expansive experience, which is they're double height on both homes.
Which does affect the sense of space, I think, substantially. Coming into 2 stories, it makes the whole space, I think, feel larger.
I don't know who asked that question, but it's a fantastic question, right? I mean, I always remind myself that in Paris, when listings of homes in Paris come in cubic feet, not in a square feet, because older homes will have higher ceilings, and that's so important to the feel of openness and of space. And so we're pretty religious on that. We do 12 feet on the living spaces.
Another question. What are the efforts that are put in place to keep the North Shore beach pristine?
So, I think there's 2 aspects to that question. One is obviously the natural park being there. It's protected. You cannot get jet skis there, et cetera, et cetera. And we have it upon us to preserve that. And so that's one of the reasons why we use endemic landscape, and we just enhance it rather than using fertilizer-hungry vegetation. We don't allow sunscreen that is not reef friendly, et cetera, et cetera. So we're trying to keep it, and I think it's a beautiful site. Like I said, I see turtles there all the time. There's that, and then there's also the aspect of maintaining that beach as beautiful as possible. And so we've done at North Shore, and if anyone walked the beach, we've done an enhancement to the beach with a sort of limestone structures that expanded the size of the beach, and I think that worked really well. And we use the local limestone, so it just blends. It's not invasive. And we're now sort of finalizing the process of extending that permit, extended all the way to Mhouse, so that we have that sort of expanded beach, if you will. And we are able to do that because there's sort of a strip of beach there that doesn't have any vegetation, any corals that we can put to structures.
Questions keep rolling in. We were worried about having questions. Here they are. What are the main ongoing expenses of ownership at Mhouse? And is there private security as well?
So and I'm sorry, I'm taking all the questions.
Well, I can help answer that, Vasco. Why don't I
Yeah.
start with this? We have pro formas that we can provide. So we have your information. We're happy to send that information to you, and there is security at each development. You want to go on a little bit more on the security aspect, Vasco?
Yes, I mean we've done what we always done, which is make sure that we have always a presence on the property through our team, obviously, but then also additional security from dusk to dawn, fenced, gated, sensors, cameras, monitored, and we never had an issue, and I think that's been integral to what we create here, to this notion of enclave. The HOA amenities, besides security, cover everything. And the way I always explain is they cover everything that if your neighbor wouldn't do it, it would affect your experience. So the landscape, the outside maintenance of the homes, the pool, the beach, and then also preventive maintenance. And so that I think is one of our key distinctive factors, is that we have a sort of a on-site maintenance team that is included, and that includes the preventive maintenance. Just go in, fix things, and keep them always pristine. Every time there's a check out of a guest or an owner, we do inventory check, we do a check of the home, and we just try and deal right away with any minor issues that we need to deal then.
Thank you. Answer to the question there are multiple viewing platforms on the hilltop, and they are spectacular. I've been up there multiple times, taken some great pictures and video from there. And in many ways, they exceed the beachfront in terms of the outlooks because they're so dramatic and they have so much sweep. You can see pretty much all the way to the leeward point. You're up so high. So really spectacular. I have a couple more questions.
Joe, one thing I would add about sort of maintenance is that I think in part because of our many, many year relationship and our presence, Domino's presence on island, is that whether it's every year or as clients need, there really is maintenance in terms of interiors as well. So if something gets damaged by a renter, we immediately get phone calls. Can this be replaced? Can it get addressed? If something isn't working, if whatever it is, I think our relationships also allowed, you say you come into the homes 10 years later and they still look amazing. That is because it's not something that just gets looked at every 7 years. It's the Beach Enclave team, every 6 months, every year is constantly sort of looking and making sure it's at the standard that they want it to be and that it's always been. It's not like interiors get done and then forgotten about for a decade.
Yeah, I mean, that really struck home. I was recently at an event at Beach Enclave Long Bay, and it looks brand new.
Yep.
I mean, brand new. The furniture looks brand new. The villa looks brand new. And I think that you could just randomly pick any uh, residence, amidst the Beach Enclave, you know, menu of properties, and you would see the same thing. Another question coming in. There is a homeowners association, an HOA. Vasco, could you speak briefly to that?
Sure. So the common areas are passed on to the homeowners association, which is owned by each owner, who has a share. We stay in the beginning as the developer in making sure that whatever was promised is delivered, and thereafter it's on the owners to approve the budgets and decide. We work closely with owner representatives on our or other properties. And I think we have a long history of adding more amenities and working with owners and just keep improving the lifestyle experience.
Okay, now a question that you get all the time, Vasco, is which one is your favorite? And I know that's like choosing among your children, but I know that, just to give an example of a conversation that I've had with my family is we stayed at North Shore and we stayed at at Long Bay, and it was a split decision. Because for me, because I've lived in Turks so long, I love elevation because there just isn't a lot of it. And the combination of elevation and beachfront, which Mhouse provides, is really the most compelling combination that one can have. Also, but the user friendliness of the beach on Long Bay is second to none. You can roll out and be in the water in like 45 seconds. But if you just care to just highlight just a quickie on each one, that would be wonderful leading into Mhouse.
I like the comparison to the children. It's a good one, and I think if I had a favorite, I'll probably just keep developing there instead of elsewhere. Yeah, they're all very special, and I appreciate your views there, Joe. I think Long Bay, I'm a kiteboarder. I have a weakness for that. It's in the way that the colors change throughout the day in the ocean there, and the breeze in the summer, right? If you're here in the summer, that makes Long Bay very special. Grace Bay, obviously, that sort of raw beauty. There's a reason why that beach keeps being considered the best in the world. And we have, the timing of those two developments with the Grace Bay were truly special, right? So we have 15 acres and we have 12 homes. That's a really low density, never to be repeated again. So I think we created something very special there. North Shore was my first property, and I still remember the day where, and I think you were there, Joe, where, with a machete trying to cut a path through the property for the overgrowth and suddenly hitting the hedge of the ridge and being there and say, my God, this view is unique. It really is. That there's a reason why those families that I mentioned earlier today chose that location as their estate homes. It's just that combination of the views, the beach. I love the reef there. On the weekend when I have my daughters, that's where we go for a quick snorkel because they will see a turtle. We should guarantee it on the price of the stays that they will see. It's truly unique, right? And I think it speaks to how Turks was maybe 20, 30 years ago, where you just walk on this desert beach, had breakfast in New York, get on a flight, and you're having lunch on this beach just for yourself. That makes North Shore really special.
One final question. Uh, what is the beach access from the hilltop? I know there's a dramatic set of steps, and Davidson, if you could pull that image up uh, of the site and show that, that would be great. Go ahead, Vasco.
I mean, it's a short walk. It's a beautiful walk, by the way, because we really carved the road like a canyon. And at each hilltop will come with a golf cart, so it's a easy, easy walk, but also very easy drive. And then you have that beach club, which is truly and fully only for the owners and guests. And each one of the hilltop homes will have a dedicated chaise lounges there. And obviously, we'll always have a set of amenities in terms of water sports, kayaks, boards, et cetera, to enjoy and snorkel. So that part is the experience on the beach, and that access is through that road that you see there.
Fantastic. I have one final question. Vasco, what are you seeing in terms of the future development around Mhouse?
What else is, well, in terms of what else can be developed there?
Yeah, I think it's in terms of what the density may be in that area.
It's interesting, right? Because when we done North Shore Phase 1, we then start getting a little worried about what was going to happen on either side. And now we own and control either side as we expanded our properties there. And I think we now about private homes. I think that's one of those areas on the island that we can be most certain that it's going to stay like that. And I love that. I love that fact.
Yeah, I completely agree. I wanted to wrap up with just final thoughts from Rolf and Taylor with regard to Mhouse. Either one. Who wants to start? Taylor, you start. Reporting shot.
We're really excited about this one. I think that anytime we start a project in terms of design, we always start with the architect. And I think if you can see where Rolf ends and we begin, we've done something wrong. And that those two things really need to feel visually contiguous. And I think Vasco's been really great about sort of maintaining that as a mandate, that feels contiguous. And in this case, we're working with architecture that we love and that is interesting. And we always we sort of imagine who is sort of the owner of this house sometimes in each project that we do. In this one, we imagine that she is a European countess and this is her beach house. And there is something that is sort of historic and, has tradition and history to it, and somebody who knows what a great old estate looks like. And this is the place where she is barefoot and casual and playful. And those things coexist in that house. And we've had a really fun time working on it and are excited to share it with everybody.
Fantastic. Rolf?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm going to have a hard time finishing after that. I think is just expanding on that slightly is, again, yes, we've also considered since the very beginning, the who's going to be living in the house, and focusing very, very much on that. And so this has is as not it's definitely it's as we've been going on for the last the last half hour or more is all about the lifestyle and enjoying the enjoying the experience of living in these homes in such a wonderful location.
And Vasco, any final comments, thoughts?
No, I think we covered a lot, and I truly appreciate the questions. It's been a fun project. I think we really have a fantastic team here also on the ground. I think both Rolf and Taylor are being a little humble about the contribution here. I think they've done a fantastic job, and the hours we spend on as for instance, we bring Taylor in and discussing where should the electrical plug in the bedroom be, what height, and the bed, is it a king or do we do two singles, and how do we coordinate? There's a lot of work into these, onto the lighting that Rolf and his team did a fantastic job as well. the finishes, and I'm looking forward to get them started mid this year, and seeing this resort opening, this residential community and resort opening late 27.
Fantastic. Well, on behalf of myself and my partner Nina Sigenthaler and Denise and Richard and our team, I'd like to thank everyone for attending today's event. Special thanks to you, Rolf and Taylor, and especially you, Vasco. It's been a lifetime pleasure working with you and your brand throughout these years. We look for many, many years to come together. So anyway, thank you all. We've run it probably about 5, 6 minutes longer than we thought, but I think it's been a great 45 or 50 minutes. Have a great rest of the day and a wonderful holiday season. Take care,
Thank you.
everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you for setting this up, Joe.